My boyfriend passed away from illness. Before he died, he asked me to look after his only younger brother, Callum Ressler. I put Callum through college, and helped him build his company from the ground up. Then one night, after a round of drinking at some work function, he ended up in bed with me. While I wrestled with what we were to each other, I noticed something on his office desk, a photo of me, framed neatly beside an engagement ring. My heart stirred. I pushed open the lounge door, ready to finally talk about us. But just as the door creaked open, a white camisole fell at my feet. I froze. Callum pulled the covers tightly around a shocked female assistant. Diana, ever heard of knocking? He snapped. Face pale, limbs suddenly uncoordinated, I started backing out. But the assistant's timid voice stopped me. Diana, could you hand me my clothes? I ignored the hostility behind her eyes, grabbed the garment, tossed it onto the bed, and left in a hurry. Once I stepped outside the company building, Callum called. Diana, you should really stop barging into my room like that. I laughed and agreed. From that moment on, I never stepped into his world again. I came home and drew the curtains tightly shut. Not a sliver of light could seep into the living room. The dimness calmed me, made it easier to breathe. I curled up on the sofa and dialed my agent's number. Samuel, I said quietly, you suggested I study abroad to refine my technique. I'll go. Samuel Harper laughed, genuinely pleased. While praising my bright future, he couldn't help but ask, what about Callum? Can you really leave him behind? You always said he seemed young, like he still needed looking after, he added. I pulled the blanket tighter around myself. He's grown up now, I murmured. He doesn't need me anymore. I drifted for a moment, caught in the haze of memory. When my boyfriend Sean Ressler died, his last and only concern was me, and his little brother, Callum Ressler. I had no family of my own. Callum was alone too. Loving him, making him the center of my world, gave me a reason to keep going. After that absurd night, I'd woken before him. I stared at him for a moment, then bolted. That was the first time it truly hit me, he was no longer a boy. But the way those feelings shifted overnight left me unmoored. I couldn't sort any of it out, so I left. Traveled. Tried to clear my mind. Still, Callum called me. He asked where I had gone, as if nothing had changed. I didn't realize then that he hadn't figured things out, he had simply forgotten. He had someone else now. And me? I was no longer someone who had any place in his life. After hanging up with my agent, I called Callum. He picked up quickly. Diana, what's up? I had meant to tell him everything. About that night. About what it meant. I wanted to draw a line and end the story of us, properly. But before I could speak, a girl's voice broke in through the receiver. Callum, it's already so late, and she's still calling you? Doesn't she know how to keep some boundaries between men and women? She's not into you, is she? Karen Dudley's hostility was blatant. Callum's tone turned cold. Diana, maybe don't call me this late anymore. It's easy for people to get the wrong idea. I'm hanging up. He had never spoken to me like that before. By the time I gathered myself, the call had already ended. Long ago. I looked at the clock. It wasn't even 8 yet. That wasn't late by any measure. There was a time when I could call Callum at 3 or 4 in the morning, and he'd answer right away, asking what was wrong. Now, my call was just a nuisance. I let out a quiet, bitter laugh and pulled the blanket tighter around me. Maybe I was just too tired. Even the thunder, the wind, the sudden downpour, none of it could wake me. Not until the window shattered. And in my drowsy haze, I fell into a pair of warm, rain-drenched arms. Callum, what's wrong? I asked. His body was tense. In the dark, his hand reached out to touch my cheek. Only after confirming there were no tears did he finally explode. Diana, there's thunder and pouring rain. And you won't answer your phone or reply to my messages. Are you trying to scare me to death? It was only then I noticed the sound of rain against my windows. A delayed wave of fear surged up, and I instinctively gripped his hand. My voice was hoarse. I didn't hear it. Sean had died on a night like this. Ever since, I couldn't sleep when it rained. Neither could Callum. For 5 years, we'd gotten through stormy nights hand in hand, comforting each other through the dread. He would whisper to me, over and over again, telling me not to be afraid. But now, his face was pale. He stared at me for a long time before speaking. You're staying at my place tonight. I pulled away and shook my head. You have someone you like now. It wouldn't be appropriate. His concern had briefly thawed the numbness in my chest. But then my eyes caught the faint lipstick stain on his collar, and the warmth slipped away, swallowed whole by a cold void. His expression darkened. His voice was sharp. Diana, don't be like this. I left Karen at the restaurant because I knew you'd be scared. And now what? You want to stay here, call me after I go back, crying and begging me to come over again? Might as well save us both the trouble and come now. I pressed my lips together and said nothing. In the past, I could call him because we only had each other. And he was scared too. But now he had someone else. No matter how tangled my feelings were, I couldn't justify inserting myself into someone else's relationship. I turned toward my bedroom. I'm not going. Go be with your girlfriend. I'll be fine on my own. Before I could take another step, Callum grabbed my wrist and yanked me toward the door. His grip was tight, painful. I struggled hard. Callum, what the hell are you doing? I said I'm not going. He frowned, irritation flickering across his face. Then, without a word, he lost his patience. He swept me into his arms, holding me tightly. He carried me outside, grabbing an umbrella on the way out. The rain fell hard, but my body stayed dry. His didn't. His shoulders were quickly soaked through. Despite myself, I felt a pang of worry. What if he caught a cold? I stopped struggling and rested quietly against him. But after only a few steps, he froze. His whole body tensed. I turned my head. Not far away stood Karen. Her umbrella lay on the ground, rain drenching her hair and clothes. Tears and rain mixed on her pale face. She swayed slightly, her voice barely audible. What is this? Callum's arm slackened. He gently set me down. Before I could even regain my balance, he had already rushed toward her, shielding her with the umbrella. I hit the ground hard, watched him comforting her, watched as he got ready to take her home. Before leaving, he looked back at me. Diana, find a hotel tonight. I'm taking Karen home. With that, they walked away, without looking back. But my focus wasn't on them anymore. All I could feel was the sharp pain in my lower abdomen, and the blood pooling in the rain. I don't know when I passed out. But when I woke up, the news hit me all at once. Pregnancy. Miscarriage. I placed a hand on my stomach, flat as ever. And felt nothing. No sorrow. No tears. Just silence. I never expected the child to show up, so when it left, I felt no sadness. Only a quiet sense of how life plays its little tricks. While my thoughts drifted, the nurse came in for rounds. She gave me a once-over. You're awake? Your attending physician covered your medical bills. You didn't have a phone on you when you came in. We had no way to contact your family. Then she pulled her phone from her pocket and handed it to me. Since you're awake now, you can call them yourself. I knew Callum's number by heart. I dialed. The line connected quickly. A sweet, girlish voice answered. Hi, Callum's busy right now. If it's something important, please call back later. Bitterness rose in my throat. I kept my voice steady. All right. She recognized me. Her tone changed, light and mocking. Oh, it's Diana. Callum said he won't be taking your calls anymore. I hope you'll stop disturbing us. She was about to hang up when I spoke softly. Wait, let me just say a few words to him. But before I could speak, she sniffled and began to cry. Callum, does Diana really like you? Her voice trembled, loud enough for me to hear every word. She knows how we feel about each other, but she still won't back off. If she truly loved you, I'd even give you up for her. He sighed. Karen, don't talk like that. Diana was my brother's girlfriend. The nurse standing nearby shifted uncomfortably, cleared her throat, then turned away, pretending not to hear. I tightened the blanket over my aching body, pressing against the pain in my chest with every breath. Before I could respond, the line went dead. I sat still for a moment, then called my agent. A miscarriage wasn't considered a major procedure. I was discharged the same day. Back home, I arranged for someone to replace the window Callum had broken the night before. Then I slid the medical report into the top drawer of my bedside table. That drawer held all my most precious things. The belongings my parents left behind, Sean's keepsakes, proof that my child had existed, and the charm pendant Callum had begged for on my behalf when I fell ill 3 years ago. I took out Sean's belongings, there was still a faint bloodstain on them. I talked to him for a long time, updating him on Callum, on everything. Then, carefully, I placed it all back inside. Sean, I whispered, I'm going to live my own life now. After locking the drawer, I packed my luggage and booked a flight 5 days out. For the next 5 days, I stayed home and painted. Callum, meanwhile, was off traveling with Karen. Their couple photos were sent to me, one after another, from an unfamiliar number. I knew it was Karen. During those 5 days, Callum called me more than once. I didn't answer. Then, the day they returned, I got a call from another unknown number. Diana, Karen said, her tone giddy. Callum proposed to me. We'd only spoken 3 times before, and I'd barely said a word each time. Now, I gave her a single response. All right. Then she sent me a photo, her hand with a ring on it. I swallowed the bitterness rising in my chest and replied, congratulations. Then I ended the call and drove to the airport. Just before boarding, a message from Callum popped up. Diana, where are you? You're not home. Then his calls came, one after another. I ignored them all. Only when I was about to turn off my phone did I finally answer. Callum, I said. Take care of yourself. Goodbye. Then came his voice, rough, almost broken. I saw what you kept in your nightstand. Is that why you're leaving? Because of your pregnancy and the miscarriage? Are you leaving out of guilt because you think you've let my brother down? Guilt? I repeated the word, feeling it roll around in my mouth like a stone. Callum, you think I'm leaving out of guilt toward Sean? My hand tightened on the phone. The airport announcement chimed in the background, a sterile, cheerful reminder that time was moving forward, leaving me no choice but to move with it. Isn't it? Callum's voice was frantic, breathless. I could hear the sound of an engine revving in the background. He was driving. Fast. You kept that report with Sean's things. You think you betrayed him by sleeping with someone else. Diana, listen to me. Who was it? Tell me who the father was, and I'll. You'll what? I cut him off, a weary laugh escaping my lips. Beat him up? Ruin his life? Or will you thank him for finally giving you a reason to be rid of me without feeling like you abandoned your brother's legacy? Diana. Stop it. Tell me where you are. It doesn't matter who the father was, Callum, I said softly, looking out the window at the gray tarmac. The child is gone. And so am I. Wait. Diana, don't hang up. I'm almost at your apartment. We can talk about this. I can help you through this. You don't have to run away just because you made a mistake. A mistake. That's all it was to him. Our night together. The child created from it. The pain of losing it in the rain while he held another woman. A mistake. Callum, I interrupted, my voice calm, finalized. I'm not running away. I'm moving on. You should too. Be happy with Karen. Diana. I hung up. Then I pulled out the SIM card and dropped it into the nearest trash can. I walked down the jet bridge, not looking back. 3 years passed. I settled in Florence, Italy. The light there was different, golden, thick, forgiving. I rented a small studio apartment with a balcony overlooking the Arno. I spent my days painting, capturing the way the light hit the old stone bridges, the way tourists laughed, the way lovers held hands. I became known as the artist of silence. My paintings were moody, atmospheric, filled with empty spaces that spoke louder than the subjects themselves. Samuel, my agent, was ecstatic. He sold my pieces for amounts that made me dizzy. I didn't care about the money, but it allowed me to live freely, anonymously. I didn't date. I didn't look for love. I had poured all the love I had into 2 Ressler brothers, and both wells had run dry, leaving me parched. One afternoon, Samuel called me. He was in New York. Diana, big news, he said. A major tech conglomerate wants to commission a series for their new headquarters. The CEO personally requested you. He saw your piece, The Rain's Embrace, at the gallery in Soho and bought it on the spot. The Rain's Embrace was a painting of a woman lying on wet pavement, her body dissolving into gray puddles, while a man walked away under a black umbrella. It was the only time I had painted that night. Who was the CEO? I asked, wiping paint from my hands. Some young hotshot. His company went public last year. Ressler.I. My brush clattered to the floor. Ressler.I Callum. No, I said instantly. I don't do commissions for them. Diana, the offer is insane. And he's flying to Florence next week for a conference. He wants to meet the artist. He doesn't know it's you. I use a pseudonym for your sales, remember? D.S. Diana Sean. A stupid, sentimental habit I had never broken. Tell him DS is a recluse. Tell him no. Too late, Samuel sighed. He's already booked the meeting. Look, just meet him. If you say no to his face, he'll respect it. But don't burn this bridge for me, darling. I hung up and paced my small studio. 3 years. I thought I was safe. I thought I had scrubbed him from my soul like turpentine on canvas. But the mere mention of his name and my hands were shaking. The meeting was set at a small cafe near the Piazza della Signoria. I arrived early, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and large sunglasses. I sat in the corner, nursing an espresso, watching the door. At exactly 2 p.m., the door chimed. Callum walked in. He looked different. Older. Harder. The boyish softness I had cherished was gone, replaced by sharp angles and a weary set to his shoulders. He wore a suit that probably cost more than my apartment. He scanned the room, checking his watch. He didn't look happy. He looked like a man who hadn't slept well in years. I considered leaving. I could slip out the back. Samuel would forgive me eventually. But then his eyes landed on me. He paused. He squinted. Then, he started walking toward me, his steps slow, hesitant. DS? He asked. I took off my sunglasses. I looked him in the eye. Hello, Callum. The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might faint. He gripped the back of the chair opposite me, his knuckles turning white. Diana, he whispered. It was a sound of pure disbelief, bordering on horror. You're D.S. Sit down, I said quietly. He sat. He stared at me like I was a ghost. 3 years. I looked for you for 3 years. I hired investigators. I checked every flight manifest. You vanished. I wanted to vanish. Why? His voice cracked. Because of the miscarriage? Because of the other man? I took a sip of my coffee, the bitterness grounding me. Callum, why did you buy that painting? He blinked, thrown off by the change in subject. The painting? It haunted me. It felt familiar. The pain in it. It felt like. He trailed off, looking at me with dawning realization. It felt like the night you left. It was the night I lost the baby, I corrected him. I know, he said quickly. I know you were pregnant. I saw the report. I tried to tell you, it didn't matter. I would have helped you raise it. I would have been an uncle to it, just like you were everything to me. I stared at him. The sheer density of his obliviousness was almost impressive. Uncle? I let out a dry laugh. Is that what you think? What else? He frowned. Diana, I know you loved Sean. I know you wouldn't be with anyone lightly. I figured you met someone, maybe a rebound, and it went wrong. That's why I wanted to find you. To tell you I forgave you. You forgave me? My voice rose, sharp and cutting. For what? For being human? For having a life outside of being your brother's keeper? No. For leaving me. He slammed his hand on the table, rattling the cups. You promised Sean you'd look after me. And then you just disappeared without a word. I disappeared because you grew up, Callum. You had a company. You had Karen. You didn't need a babysitter anymore. You needed a wife. And you made it very clear that wasn't me. Karen? He spat the name like a curse. Karen was a mistake. A stupid, jealous mistake. I broke off the engagement 2 months after you left. My heart gave a traitorous thump. Why? Because she wasn't you, he said. The words hung in the air between us, heavy and terrifying. Callum looked at me, his eyes burning with an intensity one hadn't seen since that night in his office. I tried to replace you, Diana. I tried to find someone who could fill the space you took up in my life. But every time I looked at her, I just wished she was you. I wished she cooked like you. I wished she listened like you. I wished. He reached across the table and grabbed my hand. I wished she was the one I woke up next to. I pulled my hand back as if burned. Don't. Why not? I'm not a kid anymore, Diana. I know what I want. I want you to come home. I want you to come back to the company. I want us to be family again. Family? I shook my head, standing up. Callum, you still don't get it. We can never be family again. Why? He stood up too, towering over me. Because of Sean? Sean is dead, Diana. He's been dead for 8 years. He wouldn't want you to be alone forever. It's not about Sean. I shouted, not caring who was watching. It's about the baby. The baby wasn't even mine, he shouted back. The silence that followed was deafening. The cafe fell quiet. I looked at him. I looked at the man I had raised, the man I had loved, the man I had slept with. And I realized that the truth was the only weapon I had left to sever this tie permanently. Callum, I said, my voice dropping to a whisper. Do the math. He froze. What? The night in your office. The company party. We drank too much. We slept together. His face went slack. That was one night. One time. And 2 months later, I had a miscarriage in the rain while you held Karen Dudley. I watched the realization hit him like a physical blow. His eyes widened. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. He staggered back, knocking over his chair. No, he whispered. No. That's impossible. You would have told me. I tried, I said, tears finally spilling over. I went to your office to tell you. I found your assistant in your bed. I tried to tell you on the phone. Karen answered and told me to stop bothering you. I tried to tell you the night of the storm. You dragged me out into the rain and then dropped me to run to her. Oh my God, he choked out. He looked at his hands, horror etched into every feature. I killed. You didn't kill him, I said, my voice hollow. But you chose. You chose Karen. You chose your life. And I accepted that choice. I picked up my purse. I can't do the commission, Callum. I can't look at you without seeing what we lost. Please. Go back to New York. Leave me alone. I walked out of the cafe. This time, he didn't follow. I thought that would be the end. The final nail in the coffin. But Callum Ressler was nothing if not persistent. He didn't go back to New York. He rented a villa in the hills of Tuscany. He showed up at my studio door every morning with flowers. Not roses, he knew better. Wildflowers. Daisies. Sunflowers. He didn't knock. He just left them on the doorstep with a note. I'm sorry. I was blind. I love you. I ignored them. I threw the flowers into the river. I burned the notes. But he didn't stop. He started buying my paintings. Anonymously at first, then openly. He bought the empty chair. He bought the broken window. He was buying pieces of our history, trying to reassemble the wreckage. One evening, I found him sitting on the steps of the Ponte Vecchio, watching the sunset. He looked haggard. He had lost weight. I stopped. I couldn't help it. Old habits die hard. You look terrible, I said. He looked up. A weak smile touched his lips. I feel terrible. I haven't slept in weeks. Every time I close my eyes, I see you in the rain. Good, I said coldly. You should remember. I do, he said. I remember everything now. I remember how you looked at me that morning in the office. I remember how you looked when you backed out of the room. I was so scared, Diana. I was terrified of what we had done. I thought I had betrayed Sean. So I grabbed the nearest lifeline, Karen. I used her to build a wall between us because I was too cowardly to face the fact that I had fallen in love with my brother's girlfriend. He stood up and walked toward me. He didn't touch me. He just stood there, his hands hanging open at his sides, defenseless. I know I can't fix the past. I know I can't bring the baby back. But I can spend the rest of my life trying to make it up to you. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I don't care if you never forgive me. I just want to be near you. Callum, stop, I said, my voice trembling. It's too much. It's too late. It's not, he insisted. Sean asked you to take care of me. But he got it wrong. It's my turn to take care of you. Let me take care of you, Diana. Please. I looked at him. I saw the boy I had raised. I saw the man who had hurt me. And I saw something else, a man who was finally, truly, awake. But forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a long, uphill road. I can't be with you, Callum, I said. There's too much ghost between us. Then let me be your friend, he begged. Let me be your neighbor. Let me be the guy who brings you coffee. Anything. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no. I turned and walked home. He followed, 10 paces behind. For the next 6 months, Callum became a fixture in my life. He didn't push. He didn't try to seduce me. He simply existed in my orbit. He learned Italian. He learned to cook. He fixed the leaky faucet in my studio. He carried my canvases when I wanted to paint outdoors. He became the Callum I had known before the money, before the ambition, before the betrayal. He was humble. He was kind. We started talking. Tentatively at first, about safe subjects, art, the weather, the local wine. Then, slowly, about the past. We talked about Sean. For the first time in years, I could say his name without choking. We shared memories. We laughed about his terrible taste in music. We cried about how much we missed him. And in grieving Sean together, we finally laid him to rest. We stopped being Sean's girlfriend and Sean's brother. We became Diana and Callum. One rainy afternoon, we were in my studio. I was painting. Callum was reading a book in the armchair. Thunder rumbled. The sky opened up. I froze, my brush hovering over the canvas. The old panic rose in my chest. The phantom pain in my abdomen flared. Callum was beside me in an instant. He didn't grab me. He didn't shout. He simply stood there, solid and warm. I'm here, he said softly. You're safe. We're inside. It's just rain. I looked at him. His eyes were clear, filled with nothing but concern and love. I dropped the brush. I collapsed into him. He held me. He held me while I sobbed, while I shook, while I let out 3 years of accumulated grief. He stroked my hair. He whispered apologies into my ear. I've got you, he said. I've got you. And for the first time since that night, I believed him. A few weeks later, I was cleaning out my old jewelry box and found the charm pendant Callum had bought me years ago. I held it up to the light. It was a simple silver star. Callum walked in, carrying groceries. He saw the pendant and smiled. You still have that? It was the only thing I took, I admitted. He set the groceries down and reached into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. My heart skipped a beat. Callum. It's not a proposal, he said quickly. Well, not exactly. Open it. I opened the box. Inside was the engagement ring I had seen on his desk that night. The one next to my photo. But it wasn't a diamond. It was a sapphire. A deep, dark blue. I bought this 3 years ago, he said. Before the night we slept together. Before everything went wrong. I stared at him. But I thought it was for Karen. No, he shook his head. I bought it for you. I was going to ask you to marry me. Not because of Sean. Because I loved you. I had loved you for a long time. Then why the assistant? Why Karen? Because I chickened out, he admitted, shame coloring his cheeks. I looked at the ring, and I looked at my brother's photo, and I felt like a monster. How could I covet his woman? So I tried to blow it all up. I tried to make you hate me so I wouldn't have to face the guilt. He took the ring from the box and held it up. I don't expect you to wear this. I don't expect you to marry me. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I wanted you to know. It was always you, Diana. Even when I was too stupid to realize it. It was always you. I looked at the sapphire. It looked like the deep ocean. It looked like the night sky after a storm. I took the ring from his hand. I didn't put it on my finger. I closed my hand around it, feeling the cold metal warm against my skin. Ask me again, I said softly. He blinked. What? Ask me again. In a year. If you're still here. If we're still, us. Callum's face broke into a smile, a real, dazzling smile that reminded me of the boy he used to be, but with the depth of the man he had become. I'll be here, he promised. I'm not going anywhere. Epilogue, the masterpiece. 1 year later. My exhibition opened in New York. Samuel had insisted, and I finally agreed. The gallery was packed. The elite of the art world were there, sipping champagne and murmuring accolades. In the center of the room hung my latest piece. It was massive. It was titled After the Storm. It depicted a window, shattered but pieced back together with gold, like kintsugi. Through the glass, you could see a garden blooming with wildflowers. And in the reflection of the glass, 2 figures stood side by side. Not holding hands, not embracing, but standing close enough that their shadows merged into one. Callum stood beside me, looking at the painting. It's beautiful, he said. It's us, I said. He turned to me. He was wearing a suit, but he didn't look like a CEO. He looked like my partner. It's been a year, he said. It has. He reached into his pocket. He didn't kneel. He didn't make a scene. He simply held out the sapphire ring. Diana, he said. Will you let me love you for the rest of my life? I looked around the room. I saw Samuel winking at me. I saw the life I had built from the ashes. I looked at Callum. I saw the scars of our past, and I saw the promise of our future. I held out my hand. Yes, I said. He slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly. He kissed me, right there in the middle of the crowd. It wasn't a desperate kiss, or a guilty kiss. It was a steady, enduring kiss. A kiss that tasted of forgiveness. Let's go home, he whispered against my lips. Which home? I asked. New York or Florence? He smiled. Wherever you are. That's home. We left the gallery, hand in hand, walking out into the crisp autumn night. It started to drizzle, a light, gentle rain. I didn't flinch. I didn't pull away. I lifted my face to the sky and let the rain wash over me. It was just water. It was just life. And for the first time in a long time I wasn't afraid of the storm. The end.